Jay Garrick, The Flash #2 is next. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's written by Jeremy Adams, art by Diego Orlotwigli. Now I remember I did do these credits, didn't I? We were talking about who did. I'm like, oh yeah, I did it. Luis Guerrero and Steve Wands. And again, this is where it's what I like. I like to have fun. I like to have a thing. And I've had people, again, I always go with what people tell me because, again, we're kind of in this.
You're an asshole.
Well, they do tell me that, and I take it to heart and get upset. I do get upset. At one point, a guy on the internet deal or on YouTube, he called me Mr. Giggles. How dare you? I'm not a horror movie icon, Mr. Giggles. Like, what are you talking about?
Dr. Giggles.
Was Dr. Giggles a dentist? Was he a dentist? Okay, that makes sense. I didn't really know. I only know the cover, but I didn't know Dr. I didn't go to Giggles school. Eric,
played by Larry Drake.
The guy said, "Oh, tell Mr. Giggles," and this was in a comment on somebody else's video, but of course I'm searching and seeing these things. I'm still angry. I was talking about it yesterday, about how angry I was. This guy called me Mr. Giggles.
I just nonstop get so upset on Twitter when I see these things where people talk about their generation. It's always the Gen X is the toughest generation. Everybody else is a bunch of sissies. And I see you. I was so upset by the internet.
Damn right. I'm like, seriously, I don't know.
Even when they have those tweets and memes and stuff,
you can be tough but still sensitive, right?
When they include my age into that whole thing, I'm like, I don't think I want to be a part of it anymore. Give me the millennials.
You don't want to be the part of the generation that gets upset when they're called
everybody's just going around slapping each other on the back because of when they were born. Go fuck yourself.
Oh, I thought you were going to say little ass slaps, that sort of thing.
No.
That's really, that's the only reason that I like to play sports, Eric. It's accepted to ass slap is what I go with. But
it's good
we
reason.
have this book, and I had a bunch of people, back to this, Eric, bunch of people who, I've talked to some of these people who really aren't into new characters. They end up not liking the idea of, say, a Spider-Boy. And if you don't know about Spider-Boy over at Marvel, it's a character, Spider-Boy, who was forgotten. Eric, all of a sudden, disappeared from the timeline. I think Dan Slott might have heard about it's basically a lost child, and people losing their mind. This can't be. There was never this and all that.
Which is funny, because The Lost Children came out in DC like, this is so great. What a cool way to do things.
And we liked it. And that's what they might have thought. But a lot of people didn't like The Lost Children because, again, it's like, oh, don't you try to force these characters. There's a weird play where...
What's wrong with these characters?
Well, a lot of times they are kind of like... Again, Naomi, one day later, she's leading the Justice League. There's a good way and a bad way. That's what I'm going. So when people say about this Judy and the Jay Garrick, they love it because it's fun. And because the character isn't really forced on you. And you end up just there. And I wish that, and I hope that this continues on. I hope that she doesn't disappear when the 6th issue ends up. Or maybe we don't get a JSA because I really like her, though. We do have a lot of speedsters, Eric, so that would be tough.
That's fine, honestly. I don't mind. How many Green Lanterns do we have?
I know. That's
fine.
the thing, though. That's one thing I'll give you credit. You never do complain that there's too many characters. You just want more and more and more, Eric. You're a greedy bastard. So when you open this issue and you start off, I'm like, oh, shit, this is more JSA awesomeness at the beginning than we've gotten in that JSA book.
Well, that's the thing is about this book, when you have what I'm calling the trilogy of the New Golden Age with, Wesley Dodds, Sandman, Alan Scott, Green Lantern, and Jay Garrick, the Flash. This one gets to shine more than the others in my mind because it gets to walk the line between present and past stories. So it gets to do both. It has the best of both worlds is what it's doing, and both of them matter, where every other one's just, this is a hidden age, golden age story. I'm like, which is fine, but this gets to walk both worlds. It's a daywalker. It's a Blade. It's a vampire killer. It's badass is what it is.
It is. It's great. And it looks great. And when you go back and, again, like you said about even Khalid being Dr. Fate, now we get to go back and see Kent. You get to see all the classic characters.
And not only that, because when you start out and you have the JSA trying to take over a complex, which you'll find out is a newly inaugurated ISA headquarters, while other characters like the Spectre, who you never get to see a part of the JSA, or pretty much at all anymore, trying to find the Spear of Destiny with Jay Garrick, I'm like, well, this is really cool. You're splitting the team up, and when Jay Garrick is called in, he saves the day immediately because he is awesome. The amount of characters that you get to see here that you don't normally get to see really just elevates this book for me because it's a spectacle almost. It almost feels like it's an anniversary special for the amount of spectacle they want to put into this.
Yeah, and when you get this beginning, and I know that you had to select there's Hawkman. I mean, he's only in a couple panels, but he's there, and he's doing things. And I do think
their support.
whether or not, and I really actually, you don't have much, or is Sandman even there? I didn't even see him there. I wish that he was, just because of what we're doing. But even that, when you have Alan there and he's on the team and he's doing his thing, right?
What's Sandman going to do?
I don't know. I make him go to sleep. I don't know. He plays the violin. I don't know what he does. But when you end up having this play where we've only had an old Jay Garrick for quite some time, I like Jay, but he's an old man. You know what I mean? I ain't getting behind that. So you end up where when he shows up and he's young Jay Garrick, and with, the talk that they're doing, oh, by golly, I'm going to head there. It was really cool. You get to see some really great things while they're fighting Robert.
Robert, I will tell you, is the worst part of this book, because you had this thing, and it already has what feels like a pseudo-cartoony-esque style. It's not completely over-the-top cartoony, but it feels a little bit in that vein. And when you have a character who shows up in this really dire World War II-era situation called Robert, who's the crux villain of your issue, it makes it come off goofier than it should, in my mind.
I think that the play, because then you're going to
and if you don't know, if you didn't read this, he's a robot bear monster.
Yeah, he's a robot bear, Robert.
Who talks.
So, hey, Robert. But the colors pop. I was just looking when the Spectre's there and he's doing his research. And Jay, because you really do play through this issue in the past and the present, you really play that really well. Jeremy Adams does the time, of the deal of Jay is antsy, like any speedster would be, to sit there and wait or whatever. That's not his thing. So he's there. Oh, come on. You find the Spectre's like, leave me alone, asshole. And then he gets called. He's all excited to go. I think you're right. It's cartoony, but because we're going to wrap it around to tie in the stuff with Judy, you can't get too crazy. And it does feel golden and more Silver Age, actually, than Golden Age. But still, you don't want to get too big and dark or whatever, because it's going to then wrap to Judy. But I like the play where you get this of the time where, oh, my JSA, and like I said, the vernacular and how, their crazy exclamations, to then go to really push the point of, oh, Judy is of that time, because when she's there going around with Stargirl, she's like, that's how she talks. At the mall, she talks like a 1930s newsie, which I like.
Am I just out of touch with the idea that malls are out of touch? Because I feel like malls aren't something that people still go to the degree where teenage girls like, this is the hangout spot, we got to go to the food court. Like, if this came out 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, it would feel real. It would feel like when I grew up, but for now, it doesn't feel right anymore. Maybe there are malls in some place, like maybe Blue Valley's all the rage the mall. I don't know.
I like the idea, though. It's a weird. I try to explain the deal, but I already said when we read the first issue, I thought that it felt like a Stargirl book in that first issue. So when we get Stargirl here and they go to them, I think he's trying to push that Stargirl feel. She would, like you said, it'd be funny. Hey, you want to go to the mall? Yeah, what's that? It's this, and there's nobody there. It's just run down.
I honestly, that's what I half expected.
There's like somebody selling like stupid shit in a kiosk and maybe get an Annie Ann's pretzel and get the fuck out of there. But I like the idea that it does feel like you're playing with the idea of a book where the girl in that timey-wimey type of deal, but then when you get it's the mall, it feels like, 2001, maybe 1998, whatever the frame may be. But it feels like it's back to where the JSA, but it's a weird play, especially if you're going malls. But I kind of thought it was fun. Everybody's happy in the mall.
No, the thing is, it's fun because I have a lot of great experience, a lot of great memories in the mall. I just can't say if this is what's currently going on, or the fact that as a bitter old man who hates to have fun. Now, I wouldn't find myself dead in a mall anymore, but this is the experience I remember having with my friends at a mall, having a great time and hanging out at the food court. It just feels antiquated now.
Here's the weird play, and I know that there's parts of, well, timelines and what's going on here or there, whatever. But we have Stargirl. We do have, at the beginning, Hidden Base, Waltall Canyon, Germany, 1941. So we have a specific deal. Okay, then when we get to the current deal, it just says Keystone City later. Doesn't It's? I know you're not going to, but it, maybe we're playing a weird deal of, this might, I don't know how you play it. A little bit ago,
Courtney Whitmore is teaming up with Emiko Queen, the Red Arrow. This is current day, present day.
Yeah, but maybe you have this weird, I don't know how to play it, because it is one of these golden age. Like you said, it's the only book that's going to give you a bit of the present in these three that are going. So it's odd, but I do like where you have, it's natural. Jay says, listen, I mean, more of a grandfather now for how old they are. And it's like, oh, God, this sucks.
It's an old dad. How dare you?
Yeah, it's like, this sucks. We lost her. I'm starting to remember things being around her. But all it does is make me realize, like, we have to protect her. And you would be overprotected. I mean, this is the idea. It's a little dark, but if your kid got kidnapped and then gets saved, you're going to not want them to leave the house ever again.
You're never going out ever again.
It's really going to take a lot of effort. And then they're like, who are you talking to? I was talking to a ghost, Eric. But yeah, and I don't know why I'm laughing at that. That's pretty dark. But you know what I'm saying, though. It's that play. I don't want to lose her again. Oh, my God. And I love where...
Because even the idea of overprotective helicopter parents, like you said, this comes from like the golden age kind of era of parenting as well. And you would give your kids more freedom, because even the idea where Joan says, like, you know, it's a different time now than it was then. And she is to a degree, because I still like to think there was terrible things that were going on that just wasn't
you just didn't know about
like exactly. Yeah. It wasn't like mass marketed like it was in the 80s, but the 70s was the Wild West as far as I'm concerned. But all bad shit that happened to people and kids and everything was always going on, because people are always going to be scumbags. You just found out about it in the 80s, it felt like. But they've lived through all these eras and decades. They think to themselves, the good old days of the 1940s and 50s and stuff, which they'd be used to because they lived through it. This is how they think. But they've also seen how the world has changed through everything they've been shown through the decades to realize, oh my God, the world is a scarier place now because they're more aware.
Yeah, it is more. And I do agree.
But what they should have is the idea, yes, that is terrible, but you know what? She's also a speedster called the Boom, who's been a sidekick of mine for years.
Joan says she can handle herself because,
exactly.
She can. Yeah. And so she has to say, listen, she's pretty tough. She has power. She can now. Plus, hanging out with Stargirl. This isn't hanging out with me and you in the mall.
But Jay having the freaking the yips here, not even the yips, the shakes where he's so impatient and so anxious about letting her go, and time is standing still for him because, you know, Joan's just doing Joan stuff while he's just sitting at a table, tapping his finger, tapping his leg because he's so anxious about letting, Judy out. He's like, and she says, fine, just go take a peek. And like, and I'm like, that's a great line right there. And a great panel.
He's the 90-year-old Bart. Is what he's so, like, he's there tapping and, like you said, looking at the deal. And some people actually even asked me recently about the idea of, like, how old is Jay? But there is that play that they said because of the Speed Force, he doesn't age as much. And also Joan doesn't because she's near him. It's a weird play.
Well, no, yeah. They set that up, Jeff Johns, in The Flash Rebirth. And for all the things they did wrong in that book, because, you know, bringing Barry back is still what feels like a mistake. And even though I like to talk about and explore it with the negative Speed Force, it just gets really, it makes the Speed Force wonkier, but it's just like, all right, everybody, the Speed Force, what else can it do? Well, it makes you young and people around you young longer than they should be. Here you go. And I'm like, which is worse, because I just like the idea magic kept them young. It's the same thing, but for some reason it works better in my mind.
I was thinking about it because as you're going through this, and I was thinking, like, it's funny because he is like a 12-year-old, but he's got the yips. You said he's worried. He's, and time's going so slow in his mind for him. And so you have that play, and I thought, oh man, he is like, okay, he's about 90-some. Makes sense, this whole thing with the Speed Force. And I'm like, I don't know if I like that. Then I thought, you know what, I do like that, because I'd rather have that than, say, a Lois Lane get kryptonite poisoning and die, or, Mary Jane die because of, radioactive sperm. I'd rather have the fun of them being able to live longer, so I'll go with it. But I do like where they go off to the mall, and she does have that, fish out of water deal. What is the mall? And then let's go to the fourth. You have a court of food. And it is funny that you have Jeremy Adams, and I'll give him a props, even though it doesn't quite get it, but it looks like she has a Cinnabon, an Orange Julius. Then you go with the pizza.
She got all the staples.
It's all the classics. It really is. She should have had an Annie Ann's pretzel, and I would have been like.
But all I'm thinking about now is you are spending your freaking parents' retirement fund now. They don't even know, like Social Security check to Social Security check. They can't afford this, Judy.
Exactly. Plus, I don't know that with all these preservatives nowadays, Eric, in the foods, but she ends up fine. And then she belches. And again, this book is fun. And she belches, and it's like everybody looks, oh my God, and then they start laughing, which is crazy. And in my mind, they would. But if it was a guy, me and you, we'd have to fart. Then we would laugh, Eric. That'd be funny. But I'd say, why did you do that, Eric? Because I did that. I'd point to you. But you do see where Jay's there. Jay's there with the stupid helmet. Like, what are people thinking when they're walking by? But he's watching.
They're thinking, wow, the Golden Age Flash is here at our mall.
That would be cool. It would have been funny. You're going to have Robert show up. But even if
for some reason,
you could have had some people walking by Judy and Courtney and saying, "Oh my God, did you see this? The Golden Age Flash is here." It might have been a funny play where she finds out, but they get attacked. Yeah, they get attacked by Robert. And like I said, it's a good little way to show from the beginning, oh my God, time is starting to reset and things are not just being remembered. Like Jay said, Joan, I'm remembering some things now and it makes me upset that we forgot all this stuff. Remember that her
But
first
I
words
don't
were
understand
Daddy.
the idea of Robert, where they're fighting Robert in the ISA headquarters back in 1941, looking for the Spear of Destiny, to where, Flash comes in and saves the day, to the point where Robert here is like present day out of nowhere and is looking for Judy Garrick and says, we'll see you and your daughter soon, before a green small brick appears over his head, goes snap, and then he's gone. I'm like, I don't know what any of that just meant. I have no idea.
Remember, what was it where Grant Morrison had that deal with that magic brick?
Well, that was Steve Orlando did that too.
Yeah, he did that as well. And now I'm thinking, actually, I was combining them with the Golden Gun, too, at the end of the Batman
Kathy
Incorporated, the Ellen Kathy Kane. That was very wacky. But again, he gets teleported out. That brick, I'm just going to say it might be some sort of elemental thing, because Dr. Elemental is the big bad.
Yeah.
I do like, though, it's like, we don't know yet. We'll see if it makes sense. It says everything that was old is new again. And I kind of get this play of almost like shoving it into Jay's face, maybe, of like, look, you done messed up. Like, she's back. You're remembering things and we're back. And here's what you fought before and go. I don't know exactly what you'll do with it or how it'll be explained. I also don't like that they steal bats to fight him. I still think that's stealing, Eric. They go in that sporting goods,
what are you talking about?
right?
They're protecting people, and they're protecting the rest of the store from being destroyed with the baseball bats. You know what the clerk should say? Thank you.
Thank you. What we see, this is the beginning of the end for the malls here, Eric, is they're just getting ripped apart by Roberts all over the place.
This is the final nail in the coffin. What do you mean the beginning of the end?
It's done now. They're like, oh my God, where are we going to have a Spencer's Gifts, Eric, but the mall? That's all.
They haven't gone to Spencer's Gifts in 20 years.
Oh my goodness gracious. Hot Topics. You got the Sbarro. You got it all. You know what would piss me off about the Sbarro in our mall? It wasn't in the food court. It was like down the line. It would always piss me off. I don't know why.
Yeah, I never went there.
Yeah, because why would you? And also, you'd have to like stand and I don't like standing.
Look, the thing is,
I go to the mall to sit there.
You had three things that I went to in the food court: the McDonald's, the Chick-fil-A, and the Chinese restaurant that was, I think it was called Walk and Roll. And those were the three places I went, and that was it. I find something I like, I rarely change.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I would get a Cinnabon occasionally, and I did like Annie Ann's pretzel.
Yeah, I get that occasionally, but that was a kiosk. It's different.
And there was a weird play. They also, at one point, had a Friendlies downstairs, but then they had a Friendlies across the street, and sometimes we'd go there afterwards, too. We liked them all. I say, it was just me and Brett. I didn't have many friends.
And if I weren't my dad and he was paying, we'd go to Ruby Tuesdays.
Yeah, I actually only ate at Ruby Tuesdays once, and I felt very special. Yeah, I remember that, and sometimes, Eric, if it was a really special occasion on the way to the mall, we'd stop at Bennigan and we'd eat there. I used to get this.
So Bennigan's my place.
It was a turkey Swiss sandwich on a pretzel roll. It was really good. Now I think about it. I think of it being like the greatest thing I've ever eaten. It probably wasn't that great, but it seems like it's great. Then they got like the Outback, and plus, I do want to mention where our mall is where you used to go occasionally, maybe on a certain anniversary, with your lady Jessica. The Red Lobster's right there, too.
We're fancy with our Red Lobster lunches.
There's like that one area, it's like all these pseudo-fancy fancy places to a poor
Olive Garden's down there, too.
Yeah, it is. When I would go to the mall, like as a real little kid, my dad, we'd go by, and I would see things like a Red Lobster, even like a ground round.
That was further down. That was a treat.
I would still think that was like, you have to be a Rockefeller. Like, I really did love. Where are they parking them rickshaws? Because these people are rich
I only went with my rich grandparents.
Exactly. It's funny. It's like, oh my, we're eating the ground round. We're rich, bitch. I go, like, oh my God. And me thinking I'm rich is like, oh, I better get that napkin and put it in my shirt. Such an idiot. I remember too, my dad's like, you can have whatever you want on the menu. And all it was just hamburger meat. Like, I thought it was steak. I thought it was great.
Didn't they have the ice cream that came in the freaking baseball helmet, like, little dishes at the ground? And I collected those as much as I could. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, those are cool. I remember when we would go and I'd have a bunch, and I was getting seriously, and I'm a baseball fan and really like it. I remember at one point I got a Seattle Mariners helmet. I was convinced they were not a real team. Like, this ain't no real team. What are you doing with this? I thought it was some nonsense. Yeah. So the whole play of that, though, is I really thought that I was rich doing that. And then later I would go back to those plays and they sucked. It sucked when I was later. I had fun. And you say about having...
I never went back. I kept the memory pure.
We would go into friendlies. A lot of times we'd eat at friendlies before or after we go to the mall. And I would always get that Reese's Pieces sundae. I would never change. I mean, we were there probably like 600 times. 600 times I got that. Never anything else. I love it. Yes.
I think I've been in a Friendlies once in the last 30 years.
Yeah, I haven't. And then there's one in town. Is it still here? Or did that?
No. That's the Wingstop. Or okay. Buffalo Wild Wings, I mean.
Probably for 12 years.
It's been there for 15 years.
Yeah, I never went. So there you go. You get a brick, elemental. Oh, my goodness, there.
Robert.
And then the end is, Dad, what is going on? Yeah, they're trying to figure it out.
It's a very quick read, but it's enjoyable, and the idea is you get to see the JSA in action against the ISA headquarters before it seems like they even know the ISA is a thing, which is very, cool in my mind to see that. Robert is a bit of a cartoony oddball in the whole thing. I can take him or leave him, mostly leave him, I feel like. But when you get to the present day stuff, which I truly care about, because I want to know what's going on with Judy Garrick, the Boom, and everything that's still coming against her for the fact that she was a lost child taken out of time to the point where she's back now. What are people behind the scenes going to do about that? How does it affect the current timeline? All of these things are cool, and it's just these weird little things I don't know, the idea of Robert, and for some reason the mall setting in the present day felt off to me, but the stuff is still cool. I just wish by the end that I understood more of what was going on, something would feel like I understood the book better for what, even though it's only 2 issues, what the main goal is right now, and the main premise.
I will tell you the main goal in my mind of the characters, Eric. Let me wax poetic and look into the future as I do. We already got Jay is very protective. Oh my God, I don't want to lose her again. This issue starts to be what is going to be the theme for this, and I think that it will be the idea that Judy is afraid that she brought this shit on everybody. The idea...
Well, she didn't do this. Stargirl did.
She is a little girl of, and I'm saying, the idea of, oh my God, I was so happy you remembered me, but now this shit, would it have not happened if you didn't remember me? And I think that that's a really cool play with a girl who is a fish out of water, is somebody, even the idea that, Jay is ancient now, but still but different. Everything's different. She's trying to adjust. And I think you're going to play that of, man, if I didn't come back, these things wouldn't happen. I wish that I didn't. I hope that it doesn't get so dark, Joan dies, Eric, gets her throat sliced,
things like
right?
That.
And then the villain's dancing in her blood, stuff like that. I hope that doesn't happen, but I think that somebody might.
Stop saying it. You're going to freaking manifest this.
I think that either I think Jay might get hurt. I think that he might not die, and he'll obviously recover. But I think something's going to happen that's really going to make her think I wish I didn't come back because these are the people I love, and I love that they remember me, but maybe they were better off without me.
And you say obviously he's not going to die. I feel like the Golden Age heroes, for the most part, they're on borrowed time right now.
Well, they might be. So even if he did, but I think that by the end, it's going to be a play where it's going to, we'll talk about it in the next section of books. Hawkgirl kind of plays that, but in a weirder way. I think that this is where having Judy back, you're going to feel for her, oh my God, and then you're going to realize, no, everybody loves her and this is great, and we go forward. Or you could, if it ends up where Jeremy Adams, we're not going to do the same, maybe she just disappears back into the ether and goes back into the timeline or whatnot. We'll have to see, but I do like
it's just weird even thinking about it, out of the big three, which you would have Jay Garrick, Alan Scott, and Ted, Grant Wildcat, I think Alan Scott for right now is pretty safe, but for some reason in my mind, Jay Garrick and Ted Grant, they could be on the way out anytime because, you have Ted's not doing anything, okay? Wildcat there's a new Wildcat out and about, so that's fine. You can always replace Ted because he's not even doing anything right now. And with introducing Judy Garrick, the Boom, and what it would mean to her character if she did lose her parents after, they finally found her, that is heart-wrenching and dramatic and would be great storytelling. Plus, with the amount of speeches that we already have, Jay and Joan getting out of there might be something that could happen down the line that I can see as a possibility. But Alan Scott, I think he's safe right now. There's too much to explore with that character.
Yeah, the thing is, if you end up where, oh my God, you say to a random reader, Ted Grant's dead, they're like, who? The guy from the Mary Tyler Moore Show? No, that was Lou Grant. I'm telling you, if he died, nobody would really say anything because he doesn't do anything. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that
even at the one point there was supposed to be a story where Alan went off with his daughter Jade and Obsidian to try to find the JSA, especially Wildcat because he's missing. We never dealt with that, and he's still missing as far as I'm concerned.
I like that you said his daughter Jade and Obsidian.
Did I say that?
Yeah. Just because you wanted
his children, Jade and Obsidian.
I got you. Yeah, but
that's the thing is, I think when I went in, I didn't remember if Obsidian was going with him or not.
I can tell you added Obsidian at the last second. But what score you give this?
Ultimately, I'm going to give this a 6.8 out of 10. I'm still having fun, but like the last book in the JSA, there's things in here that kind of throw me out of it. Robert being kind of a cartoonish, silly kind of deal, and me not understanding his part in all of this, especially when I want to find out even how Dr. Element is involved in all this, and he's kind of put to the sidelines. And then you bring out the ISA as well. I want to know, are they a part of this as well? But there's so much going on that I feel like I don't understand enough right now to fully enjoy this one, but there's a lot to enjoy in this for the character moments themselves.
That's what I like about Jeremy Adams. We've had some stories, when we first started that Flash run. And we had, Eric, the stories we could tell.
We've done it all.
The deal with the glaive, we weren't really into it. But a lot of people, and we said it even then when we were having that Wally West Flash book, you had the kids. So even when the adult stuff wasn't we still have the kids. He does have a knack for at least giving you something to enjoy in almost every issue, even if you don't like some of the other stuff or you're confused. So he does. I think that's the play. We don't see this that often anymore, where he does set up a mystery. Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see that. And I think that he realizes, well, people don't really love to keep going along with the mystery and not getting anything. So you get the character work, which is great. You get to see, Judy having fun at the mall. And that's almost enough for me. If this was just a book where you could just ease back and say, we don't need to do big things. We're just going to have a book because Judy needs to acclimate herself to the current time. She's hanging out with Courtney. I could have a lot of, like we said that about Jay and Ivory in the Flash.
Right.
So he's really good at that. And so when you get this, I think that one of the things that might throw you off there, it's kind of fun. And you don't like that, Eric. That is your Achilles heel. That's your kryptonite. Anything fun. But I understand. Like you said, the ISA stuff, again, that's a little bit, might be over my pay grade. I'm a dummy. So I'll learn that later. What I'm really here for is Judy and the fun. And I love Stargirl, and she's getting this weird push in these sort of books here that I really like, that I didn't expect at this point of what we've been reading. So I really do like that. So I'm going to give it a 7.5. I'm a little bit high. I thought the art was great. I had a lot of fun.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.